Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Thursday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm good. It's Thursday.
It is. You know what that means? We've got Dear John letters later in the program, so that's always fun. Got a lot of fun stuff that we get to answer there. If you've got a Dear John letter, be listening. We'll tell you how to get your Dear John letter submitted here in the program as well. I started doing a thing this week where I've got quotes, and I've got another quote here. This is the one for today. It says, following is one of the most underrated aspects of leadership. I've seen many good organizations underachieve because someone thought the commander was incompetent and quietly worked to undermine his authority. That's from Admiral Bill Raven. So there you go. Saying, hey, it's not just important to lead, it's also important for some people to follow. So
There you go.
good news. A mosquito, believe it or not, flaps its wings 600 times a second.
Oh.
Those little dudes are going. Unlike most cats, tigers love the water, can easily swim 3 or 4 miles.
Oh.
And listen to this. There's a study that says women with babies tend to forget things. You know what it's called when you have that condition? What is it called?
I have no idea.
Momnesia. It's a real condition. So there you go.
What?
Yeah, momnesia. Like a newborn baby, you'll forget things, and it's tied to having that child. So momnesia.
Okay.
All right. What was your name again? Coming up, we got some special things going on this Thursday. We'll tell you about that in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you'd never ask. It's Thursday, the 16th day of March. Today is Absolutely Incredible Kid Day, Black Press Day, Campfire Girls Day, Companies That Care Day, Curlew Day, Freedom of Information Day, Goddard Day, Lips Appreciation Day, No Selfies Day, and I rushed through those to spend some time on this one, St. Unrose Day. You know what that is?
I don't, but
Or
you were
Saint
looking it
Uro?
up.
I had to look it up because it's like Saint Uro, I think is how you say it. Origin of Saint Uro. He was created by Richard Matson in Virginia, Minnesota in 1956. He's a Finnish counterpart to Saint Patrick. So it says he drove a plague of frogs from Finland. And there were several names that were kind of kicked around for what this saint would be called, but Saint Uro is what they went with. So today is Saint Uro's Day. So you wear green tomorrow for St. Patrick's Day. What color do you wear for St. Uro's Day?
Probably still green
I don't know.
for
It doesn't-
frogs.
I don't know. It doesn't have it in here. It doesn't tell me. So I'm going to just wear what I'm wearing. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Hey, it's John and Heidi. Join us for 80s in the Sand, a week-long 80s event this November 11th through the 18th in beautiful Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic.
Meet and listen to 80s bands like Loverboy, Starship, Howard Jones, and many more.
Plus, meet 80s icons from the movies like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
Book your week-long 80s vacation now at 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. Forget that TV show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? The real question is, are you smarter than a 3-year-old? A Singapore girl is believed to be the youngest person admitted to Mensa. I think we talked about her.
I think we did.
I don't know if this is the one or not. Maybe, I don't know, because that girl was 6, wasn't she?
I don't know.
This girl is 3. Anyway, she's a 3-year-old from Singapore, and she's got one of the highest IQs ever. The International Society for People with High IQs, Mensa, allowed Celestine Grace Kai to become a Mensa member when she was 3 and 3 years and 10 months old. Makes her the youngest person admitted to the society.
That's insane.
Normally, Mensa does not consider anybody under the age of 15. The only requirement, really, though, is to be in Mensa is to have an IQ that ranks among the top 2% of the world. Celestine's IQ was off the scale. She's been given an IQ of 158 plus. She was able to solve every test and reconstruct and reproduce figures and puzzles years ahead of her time.
That is insane.
It is. She's just 3 years old, almost 4.
Huh.
And she's a Mensa member. I remember when we talked about the last story like this, the kid was 6. I remember that it was, I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, but the kid was 6. And I remember we were talking about this, and I was wondering, how do you know what your IQ is? So I went online and took an IQ test. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
And I took the IQ test. I got all the questions right, and it was saying that your IQ would range between this and this. And I was like, well, I don't know what that means. You know, at what point are you a genius? So I typed into Google, how do you know if you're a genius? By the way, the whole day, my wife over here was saying, well, you don't have time for this. Just quit goofing around. Get work to do. I was like, I just want to know. This 6-year-old's a genius. I want to know if I'm a genius. So I type into Google, how do you know if you're a genius? And Google said, did you mean genius? I spelled it wrong. She pointed at the screen and said, that's how you know. You're not a genius. Now get back to work. Well, this 3-year-old's a genius. And you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain. And this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. There's a lot of places that are not the best choice to bring your stash of marijuana, but this one may just take the cake. In St. Paul, Minnesota, an unnamed man, well, I'm sure he had a name, just not in the story. The unnamed man had been assigned to work out his community service sentence by cleaning up the grounds and preparing the next day's graduation at the St. Paul Police Department Dog Training School.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, where they train drug-sniffing dogs. And that is where this guy decided to bring 6 small bags of marijuana. Of course, he was sniffed out by the senior canine instructor, Buster, and now he's in jail again. So what an idiot.
Maybe he was helping to test the dogs.
He's like, well, I'm just checking to see if Buster knows what he's up to. And good job, Buster. You get a treat. Yeah, not smart. What a moron. All right, coming up, we have your moment of duh. We've got your scoop of the day, and it is a Thursday, so we have your Dear John letters coming up as well. It's all on the way on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. We head to Waukesha, Wisconsin, where 47-year-old Lisa K. Reed has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for attacking a couple she didn't even know with a very unusual weapon, a pooper scooper. Yeah, she was high on crack when she showed up at the door of John and Linda Dormer. They didn't know her, and she didn't know them. She said that somebody was going to kill her. She threatened to kill them and began swinging the pooper scooper, and she had a pair of scissors, too. Her defense attorney tried to convince the judge that she was really not trying to hurt anybody, but the judge didn't buy that. So she was swinging a metal pooper scooper and jabbing scissors at them, but she wasn't trying to hurt them. What was she trying to do then? Yeah, I wouldn't buy that either. Anyway, it's been your moment of duh. Your scoop of the day is on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. Egyptian archaeologists have recently discovered a 7,000-year-old lost city on the Nile. A 7,000-year-old city that was just there. And we're like, oh, hey, that's where we put that. There's a city here.
Crazy.
It is crazy. A man in the Philippines, suspected of robbing a number of women over the past 2 weeks, ordered some of them to, quote, remove their shoes so he could touch their toes, end quote.
Oh, I think we've talked about this.
No, this just
before.
happened recently. 5 women, ages 21 to 55, had reported being robbed and groped in the toes by this man. There was another guy that was he touching their hair? Is that what that was?
No, it was their feet.
Was it? Mm-hmm. Oh, no, that was a guy that was sucking on their toes. Remember that? There's some weird people out there. There just is. A Cleveland man is accused of carrying out 3 carjackings in a 10-day period. He was finally arrested. You know why?
Why?
He carjacked the wrong car. It was a stick shift, and he didn't know how to drive.
Oh, funny.
He's like, oh, no.
That happens a lot.
Now what do I do? A Nevada woman is on the run from the law after it was discovered that she was poisoning her now ex-husband by putting poison in his Lucky Charms. Would those be unlucky charms then? Is that what you call them?
Probably.
And the reason was so he would not try to have nookie with her. So apparently she was trying to say, hey, I'm not in the mood. Have some Lucky Charms.
Well, she didn't really need to poison him for that. Couldn't she just put saltpeter in there? That's what I do to you.
Is that what's going on? No. I thought everything tasted salty lately. Hey, there seems to have a new outbreak. But by the way, for those of you who don't know, we're married. So as inappropriate as that comment was, it's not as inappropriate as it would have been if we weren't married. So just want to make sure that you knew that. Seems to be a new outbreak of extremely dangerous virus known as the flesh-eating disease. And it's breaking out all over the place. I didn't even know that was a thing, but apparently that's a thing. And you should watch out for that one. It's a nasty one. If you ask the American people, they don't have much good to say about the U.S. economy. According to a poll by Quinnipiac University, they say they are worse off financially than they were 4 years ago, and they don't expect it to get better anytime soon. So there you go. Our personalities stay pretty much the same throughout our entire lives, from early childhood till the day we croak, Heidi. The result shows personality traits observed in children as young as first graders are a strong predictor of how they will act as adults. It says we remain recognizably the same person. Study author Christopher Nave, a doctoral candidate at the University of California, Riverside, said this speaks to the importance of understanding personality because it does follow us wherever we go across time and contexts. The study will be published in the upcoming issue of the Journal of Social, Psychological, and Personality Science. So would a young Heidi be the same way as the old Heidi?
Yeah.
Well, it's not that you're old, but you know what I mean.
No, I know. I always had an inappropriate sense of humor from the time I was little. So, yeah.
So I remember always kind of being the class clown, and, for people who, went to school with me that are listening right now, they will attest to that I'm pretty much the same as I was. I just get paid for it now. I'm like, hey, that's awesome. Really?
You get paid?
Oh, I guess I don't. Data from State Farm shows drivers in West Virginia are most likely in the country to smash into a deer during their regular travels. West Virginia drivers hit more deer than any other state. Guess who number 2 was, though?
South Dakota.
Montana. Guess who number 3 was?
South Dakota.
No, Iowa. So there you go. Thanks for guessing.
Number 4, South Dakota.
No, it's not on the list. So. And finally, some good news, Heidi. According to a recent survey, teens are sexting less today than they have been in the last few years.
That's good news, I
It is
suppose.
good news. Oh, it's very good news. But I wonder what they're doing instead. That's my...
Yeah.
They're up to something. They're always coming up with a way to do some wily stuff. Coming up, we've got a couple of fun facts for you. That is on the way on the John and Heidi Show. Also, we have a Dear John letter, and that is up next.
John and Heidi.
Radio advertising works. When it's done right, it works even better. There are many things you can do to get a better response, and shouting sale really isn't the best thing, believe it or not. Did you know that when you put words to music, they're 9 times more memorable? If you're trying to get people to remember your company, consider a jingle. We work with one of the very best jingle companies in the business, and we'd love to use music to help you grow your company. Learn more and hear examples at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening on a Thursday. It's Thursday. That means right now it's time for
Dear John Letters.
Dear John.
And we got our Dear John music right there. I'm going to get my Dear John letter over here on this screen so I can read it better. Otherwise, it's kind of like I'm twisting my neck to read what I got here. If you'd like to submit a Dear John letter, we'll tell you how to do it. Is it hard to submit a Dear John letter?
Not
Heidi?
at all.
We make it easy. It's very easy. So here's today's Dear John letter. Dear John, my husband and I have been married for almost 20 years. We've both gained some weight over those years, and I decided to do something about it. But he doesn't seem to care as much as I do. I've been eating healthier and exercising every week. He'll eat some of the new healthy things, but turns his nose up at some as well. How do I get my husband interested in taking care of himself so he will be around longer? Signed, Wife in Strife. Well, that's a really good letter. Now, here's one of the things that I got to say. My beautiful bride and I, we've been married how long now? 17 years? And we both gained some weight since we got married. But we've also done some diets, and we both did them together. I don't think we could have done it on our own.
No, it's really important if you're going to make that decision that you do it together.
And I'm going to talk...
Because it's really hard to stick to it if you're not both doing it.
And I'm going to talk directly to this man. Hopefully he listens as well. I don't know if he does. And if he doesn't, here's our advice to him. Do this with your wife. I mean, she cares about you. She wants you to be around longer. Do this with your wife. I remember I was 38 or 39 years old the first time I ever ate broccoli. Mm-hmm. And until I was 38 or 39 years old, guess what? I didn't like broccoli, but I'd never even tried it.
Right.
And we were on this diet, and I remember you bought some broccoli. I was like, oh, I don't like broccoli. And you're like, well, we're going to try it. Let's see. I got a recipe that has broccoli. And we tried it, and I was like, wow, I kind of like broccoli. And I really do. And now I eat broccoli all the time. I'll order it at restaurants.
Order it at restaurants, yeah.
I feel like a giant eating a tiny little tree. It's just like, "Rrr." But there's so many good foods that are not bad for you that you can do. And husband out there, you can do this. This is something that you should do. My wife and I are working together right now. We're not doing a diet. We're changing our lifestyle because we had to. You know, I was the heaviest I'd ever been when we started doing this. And my wife and I both, she's sitting right here with me. So Heidi and I both made the decision that we want to live longer and be around for our kids and our grandkids. So wife and strife, talk to that hubby of yours and say, hey, imagine missing out on I don't know if you guys have kids. I guess it doesn't say on here, but imagine if you do, imagine missing out on meeting the spouses of our children. Because my dad died at 49. He never got to meet Heidi.
Right.
He would have loved you, by the way. You guys would have been drinking together. And, he probably would have liked you more than he liked me, which is, you know, it's a whole different thing. But that's one of the things that kind of woke me up as I got to thinking, wow, I'm getting close to that age. You know, my dad died at 49. I don't want to die.
Right.
I want to be around to see my kids get married.
Yep.
And I want to be around to meet my grandkids. So it's important. That is something you definitely want to do. And if you've got a wife that's saying, hey, I want to do this with you, do that together. I mean, this is not hard stuff. It's really not. A little bit of exercise.
You should be grateful
Yeah.
that she's asking you to do this with her. She's not feeding you poison Lucky Charms.
Yeah, that was a story we read earlier. So if you don't know what that was about, you missed out. But the good news is, if you've got somebody that wants to do this with you, that is the easiest way to do this, is working together. Don't work against her. Here's the other thing that could happen, because I've seen this happen too. I remember we had a friend that went through this exact same scenario, and she lost a bunch of weight, and she was looking great, and her hubby wouldn't do this, and they ended up divorced.
Yeah.
Because another man was, very interested in what she was up to, and her husband wanted to stay home and didn't want to be involved in anything, and next thing you know, they were no longer married.
Yeah.
And it was really, really sad to see that happen. So, dude, get off the couch, go join her if she's going for a walk or taking the dogs for a walk or whatever, and don't turn your nose up at the healthy stuff. Eat that. It's not that hard.
Right.
You can do this. Now, if you'd like to have a Dear John letter answered, you can send those to us at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. I'd really like to get some fun ones, but maybe not quite as fun. We had a couple weeks ago that was like a little too edgy. I was like, oh, no, you guys are putting me in a weird spot here to answer this stuff. But if you have something that you'd like to get some advice for, whatever it is you're going through in your life.
And we are not doctors.
No, we're not claiming to have good answers, but we're going to give you answers. And you can submit those, and it's free, and it's always anonymous. So we're not going to say who it is. And you can do all of that at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Many people go to college, but when they graduate, they've racked up a ton of debt. Not everyone, though. Matthew Einstone saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then, after everyone wanted to know how he did it, he built a system to show you how to do it, too. Learn how you can use his system for yourself or for your kids. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Watch a few videos there for free. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. That's freeeducationuniversity.com. Use promo code Radio20 to save 20%.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The word teen is a Scottish word meaning grief.
Oh.
It's good to know.
That makes sense.
A lot of sense. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Merry-go-rounds turn counterclockwise. I never thought of that before, but they do. Every merry-go-round I've ever been on. Like with the
you
horses.
mean like the horses. I was going to say,
Yeah.
don't they go in the direction you push them?
Yeah, I guess that would go whichever way you push it. But. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Chickens cannot swallow when they are upside down.
Really?
I didn't know that. Now I kind of want to see if somebody, has maybe videoed that, but that would be cruel to watch, so I probably won't look for it. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
William Howard Taft was the first president to own a car. So before him, none of those people had cars. A fun fact for you here, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Wheaties was the first company to use a radio jingle in their radio ads.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what it was like, but probably something that said Wheaties.
Probably.
And our final fun fact for you,
What's
Heidi.
that, John?
200 million M&Ms are sold every day in the United States. It's a whole lot of M&Ms.
I like M&Ms.
And if you turn them upside down, they're W and W's. So, thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This is Richard Lustig, the world's first and only 7-time lottery game grand prize winner. Since I endorsed Lottolicious, I have won something every single draw. They do all the work. You don't have to worry about running to the store to buy your tickets. They take care of all that. So if you're looking for the best way to play the lottery, to give yourself the best chance of winning, go to RadioLottoPool.com and join today. Again, that website is RadioLottoPool.com.
John and
I think this is really interesting, Heidi. Doctors have found the part of the brain that can make you stupid.
That's good to know.
That is the
Can
conclusion.
they remove that?
Well, I don't know, but that is the conclusion of researchers at Vanderbilt University. They've identified an area in your brain's frontal lobe where neurons send out an alarm signal when you realize you've done something stupid. Scientists reported that this discovery of this area is important because it helps control activity as we make decisions. It says it corrects errors and overrides habitual responses. Now, these neuroscientists studied monkeys gazing at spots on a computer, and they would figure out what goes on in our heads when they say oops, and they have it nicknamed the dough zone after TV's Homer Simpson. Dough!
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's what they were checking out, monkeys watching spots on a computer, trying to figure out what part of their brain is being used for things that are stupid.
Okay.
So I kind of feel bad for monkeys that have to do that kind of stuff. Would you rather be a monkey that's doing tests like that or a monkey at a zoo where people are coming in and staring at you all day? If you had to be a monkey.
I would rather be at a zoo.
Or would you rather be a monkey that's in like in like movies and stuff where they dress you up?
That would be awesome.
I don't know. Do you think they like being dressed up like little people?
Yeah.
Do you think they do?
Yes.
I don't know if they do.
I think they do.
I don't know if they're into that kind of thing.
I think they really are.
I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, there was some show where they had a bunch of monkeys and then they would talk, but they were like just licking their lips and like eating peanut butter the whole time. And it was like we were supposed to be fooled into thinking they were talking. Do you remember that movie or that show?
I don't
remember what it was, but it was on TV when I was a kid. So I don't know. Maybe that was just a local thing in my area.
I was going to say, I have no clue what you're talking about right now.
Now, if they did the local news that way, I would watch news a lot more often. If they just had monkeys and the newscasters off on the side.
I would always watch the news.
Like, hey, it's time for the monkey days. Look at that. Look at him. His lips are moving. All right. We just exercised the part of your brain called the dough zone.
John and Heidi.
Hey, it's John and Heidi inviting you to join us for a party in paradise.
This is a week-long event with 80s music from over a dozen awesome bands.
And 80s movie and TV icons like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
We'll even get together to have some drinks with you.
Book your week-long 80s vacation now at 80sinthesand.com.
That's 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
Wacky but true. Here's the headline. Bank robbers want to be buzzed in. This happened in Greece. 3 guys thought that they had the perfect plan for robbing a bank. They had, got a getaway car, check. Got our guns drawn, check. Wearing our masks, check. What they didn't count on is, they got to buzz us in here. So they're at the front door pushing the buzzer, trying to get buzzed into the bank.
With ski masks
Ski
on.
masks and guns drawn.
Yeah.
And they're in the lobby, like in the foyer, and they couldn't get in and they couldn't get out. A bank usually won't unlock the doors for 3 guys wearing ski masks and guns drawn. But what they did do is they called the police, and these men were stuck in the little foyer waiting for them. So, yeah, that's not a good plan. But what a great idea for a bank.
That's a great idea.
And, if you can have it set up where you can lock somebody in that little foyer, so if somebody does rob the bank,
so
they can get out the
glass
first doors.
must have all been bulletproof.
I have
Otherwise,
no
they would
idea.
have just shot through the windows.
I don't know. But if they can get out the first set of doors, but they can't get out, so they're just stuck in that middle area, what a great idea.
Yeah.
I suppose if you did that, then all they'd have to do is have somebody hold the doors open. So never thought of that. Thanks. Again, criminal mastermind here. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Exactly how much time does your child spend on the internet? Probably don't want to know. It says a lot of our life is spent on the internet, and a lot of the things that kids do today will end up being put on the internet. The new Generation Y, they're likely to spend 1/3 of their life on the internet. While they'll be more techno-savvy than previous generations, they'll have fewer face-to-face interactions than previous generations.
That's really sad.
And a lot of the stuff that they do, it gets put on the internet and it stays there forever.
Yeah, that's really sad. Our daughter, we were just talking about this. She had a sleepover this last weekend.
It was crazy.
And I don't
didn't talk
think
to each
those
other.
girls said anything.
Nothing.
Sleepovers were so different when I was a kid. We were loud and we had fun and we were giggling and talking.
Get the cops called on you.
And these girls, each of them, sat there looking at their own devices and texting each other while in the same room.
Same room. What are you guys doing?
It was so ridiculous.
It's a lot different than when we were kids. I never texted anybody as a child.
I came out, I said, you girls having fun? They're all like, yeah. Didn't even look up from their phone to look at me.
Looks like you're having a blast.
Wow.
All right. Coming up, we got some bad money habits and how to break them. That is on the way on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Many people go to college, but when they graduate, they've racked up a ton of debt. Not everyone, though. Matthew Einstein saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then, after everyone wanted to know how he did it, he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for yourself or for your kids. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. That's freeeducationuniversity.com. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20%.
John and Heidi.
This comes from Women's Day magazine, Bad Money Habits and How to Break Them. It says, some habits are good for you, like flossing and exercise and stuff, but there's others that are bad for you. And here are some things you can do if you make these bad money decisions. I actually have a guest coming up. Is it later this week? Yeah, it's actually tomorrow. Jordan Goodman, America's Money Answers man. So I should ask him about some of this stuff. But according to Women's Day, contributing too little to your 401k is a bad money decision. They're saying make sure you put in as much as your company's going to match, at least. If they say you put in 3%, we'll match 3%, make sure you put in at least that much.
Yeah.
Next is keeping quiet at raise time. It says men are 4 times as likely as women to ask for a raise, and they're also more likely to get a raise because they asked for it. So saying, don't be quiet. Say, hey, you know what?
Right,
I'd
exactly.
like a raise.
And I don't think it has anything to do with your gender. I think it's just
Those who ask.
those who ask
Yeah.
it. Exactly.
Carrying a balance on a credit card is a bad money decision. They say don't carry balances. The average credit card balance in 2011 was $6,567. Holy cow.
Oh,
And it said
boy.
an average interest rate was about 17%. Oh, my goodness.
That is a scary
Racking up over
number.
$1,000 every year just in interest.
Oh,
Next,
my
using
gosh.
too many credit cards. They're saying don't have a whole pile of cards. They're saying you figure out a way to get that whittled down. Spending money without tracking it is another bad money habit. So keep track of it somewhere. I didn't have a checkbook register, so I actually got an app. I was thinking, I wonder if anybody has an app. And there's a bunch of them. It was free. It was a free app for a checkbook register. It's a great idea. Also, skimping on emergency savings. They're saying if you lost your job tomorrow, how long would you be able to live on your savings?
about 2 years.
Right. Really? You think so? No.
I'm saying it's been about 2 years.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Skipping disability insurance. They're saying that's something that's important to have because if you have an issue, you're going to want to make sure you're covered. Saving for college over retirement is another big mistake. They're saying, hey, you can get a scholarship for college, no scholarships for retirement. Buying high and selling low is a big mistake. So if you're in the fund somewhere and you bought and the price went down, they're saying don't panic and jump out. That's a bad idea. And then the last one is letting your significant other handle all of the money decisions. Saying you need to be involved as well. Again, all of those details from our friends at Women's Day magazine. Coming up, we've got some good news. That is on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
Always try to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I always find something that's good news, and I think this is just a really neat story. Heidi's not even paying attention.
I'm listening.
Are you with us here?
Yeah, I
What's
am.
going on? I know we're almost done, but we're still here.
I'm listening.
Give me
Keep
another
going.
minute and a
You're
half.
good.
All right. Jim and Laura Cook were faced with a very difficult diagnosis. At the beginning of February, Laura Cook discovered that she had breast cancer. After accessing her options and trying to figure out what she was going to do, Laura, who's 54, opted to have a bilateral mastectomy. That happened on February 21st. Guess what else happened on February 21st?
What's that?
Her husband of 26 years surprised her with a proposal. He asked her to marry him again.
Aw.
Because he said, I love you and I love the new you. And I think that's really cool.
Are you going to
Because
cry?
no, I'm not going to cry.
You
But I
look
just
like
think
you're
it's
gonna cry.
no. I just think it's really neat that because I've actually talked to people who've been through that very thing, And I remember vividly, this was at a Relay for Life event that I got to visit with a lady. I was the MC for the event. It was so much fun. And when I was talking to her, she said, it was so hard for me because I felt like I wasn't a woman anymore. But that's not what makes you a woman. That she was still a woman. She had so many other good things going and but she had breast cancer and she's like, my breasts were trying to kill me. So, she had the same thing, this bilateral mastectomy. And I think it's really cool that Jim and Laura Cook, they were married at this time for 26 years. When she had that done, he proposed to her and said, I want to marry the new you as well. I still love you. I think it's really cool.
It is cool.
So we've talked about getting married again. Would you marry me again?
You've talked about it. I think it's silly. We're already married.
I'm going to propose one of these days. Are you going to say yes if I propose?
Well, I'm already married to you.
Okay. Well,
I just think it's silly.
I may be going on the honeymoon
We
by
definitely
myself.
have the whole gender roles reversed.
Oh,
Usually
just
it's women
come
who are
on.
like,
I think
would
it's cool.
love to renew our vows. And
We should.
you say that all the time. And I'm just
I
like,
think it's
why? We've already done that.
All right. If you want to read that story, it's on our page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for listening on a Thursday.